Sophie Cunningham is down. My goodness. Should be. In a scary moment as we went to commercial, Sophie Cunningham hit the floor hard and she is being helped off the floor, heading back to the locker room.
I'm so proud of you.
I'm proud of you too. Proud of you.
I'm so proud of you guys. I know that sometimes it sounds like just a word when we talk about being resilient, but it's not, man. It's how we live.
Yep.
It's how y'all live, and it's a tribute to you. It's a tribute to your connectedness, your togetherness, your toughness, your mindset. You never give up gritty attitudes. Like, that's what it takes. That's what it takes. And
the arena fell silent for all the wrong reasons. Sophie Cunningham, one of the toughest players on the court, was writhing on the floor, screaming in pure agony after a brutal knee-on-knee collision. Trainers rushed out, but the officials just kept playing. No whistle, no foul call, just a star athlete lying helpless under the basket.
We got Sophie Cunningham writhing around in pain, definitely hurt, and Sophie's one tough cookie. If Sophie's kicking and screaming like this, no Will Ferrell, she's in pain. We even have Connecticut Sun players, look at that, Connecticut Sun players, Connecticut Sun training staff coming up to her as the fever starts making their way down.
For a family watching in the stands, and for thousands of fans online, this wasn't an accident. It was the latest chapter in a disturbing pattern targeting the Indiana Fever, a pattern the league seemed unwilling to stop. But what happened next would shock everyone watching. Instead of collapsing, this decimated team would stage a comeback nobody thought possible, fueled by rage, grief, and one of the most legendary performances in WNBA history. The question is, how far will a team go when they believe nobody is there to protect them?
Clock down to 6 for the Fever. Turner, up fade. Turner kicks it. Hold three-pointer. Bottom!
Indiana,
7 on the shot clock, 25 seconds in regulation.
they gotta get to the rim.
Charles has to hoist and connects. Wow. The Indiana Fever prove their resiliency.
Before the opening tip-off, the Indiana Fever were already a ghost of themselves. They weren't just missing players, they were missing their entire identity. Caitlin Clark, the generational rookie sensation, was still sidelined with a debilitating groin injury suffered weeks prior against this very same Connecticut Sun team. The point guard room was a trauma ward. Sidney Coulter was loss of the year to a torn ACL.
for Phoenix, it was a quick turnaround to figure out, how we're going to play without, Ari and Sid. And now we got to figure out how we're going to play without Soph. And we've got to figure out, who can play in certain roles. What are our substitution patterns going to be? What kind of wrinkles can we throw out there? It doesn't get easier. And I think we come back and have Minnesota twice, right? So it's really good mentally, physically, and emotionally for us. And then it gives us practice time, which we're going to need.
Coach Stephanie White wasn't strategizing for playoffs. She was in survival mode, desperately simplifying the playbook for players forced into roles they'd never trained for. The expectation wasn't to win. It was to just get through the game without another disaster. But that fragile hope was about to be shattered into a million pieces. Midway through the second quarter, the disaster arrived. On a drive to the basket, Connecticut's Bria Hartley lost her balance. But to everyone watching, it didn't look like a simple fall. Her body lunged sideways, her knee driving directly into the side of Sophie Cunningham's planted leg. The sound of the impact was sickening. Cunningham immediately crumpled, clutching her knee, her screams echoing through the suddenly quiet arena.
How does she magically lower her shoulder into Sophie Cunningham's legs? Can somebody please explain that to me? Can somebody please explain those physics? Again, don't want to hear it, because this is a dirty player.
She was in so much pain she couldn't even stand, requiring trainers to help her limp off the floor for what would be the last time that night. The most shocking part? The officials called nothing. No foul, no stoppage for severe injury. The game just went on. After the game, Coach White was asked what went through her mind in that moment. Her response was raw and unfiltered. This single play, This non-call became the spark that ignited a firestorm. Because for Fever fans, this was never just about one play. It was about a pattern they've been watching unfold all season long.
You have an update on Sophie? Yeah. Yeah, MRI tomorrow.
Sorry, just quickly on Sophie. I mean, what's going through your mind when you see her down like that, and you're jogging over there?
I'm like, holy shit. I mean, especially the way that she fell, and how she was holding herself and how much pain she was in. At the time, it's like crap, and then you go down there and you see her, and it's like, okay, just want her to calm down and be able to regroup.
Each incident left a key Fever player injured. Each incident was met with controversy over the officiating and a lack of serious disciplinary action from the league. So when Cunningham went down, it wasn't seen as an isolated accident. To thousands, it looked like a target. It looked like a strategy. And it looked like the league was letting it happen.
In our huddle, that's what we say together. And it's just more than words for us. I think when you see things happening, there's no other way. If you spread apart, the season goes down quicker than anything else. And we talk about with the injuries, people are probably expecting us to just fold, just like you said. And that's not us. We come in the locker room and we're motivated. We continue to be motivated every single time we step on that floor. At halftime, we were motivated, chip away, and that's our mindset. And just continue to uplift people. When one person goes down, we say it all the time, the next woman stands up. And that's really just been our motto and been what we've had to do a lot this season. And that's what we're just going to.
The outrage exploded from the stands directly onto social media. But this time, it came from a source that couldn't be ignored. Sophie Cunningham's own family. Her sister, Lindsay, posted a scathing message directed straight at the WNBA's top brass. WNBA, maybe you should focus less on finding players for commenting on your poor officiating and more about hiring officials that are able to call a consistent game and protect your athletes. Pathetic. Praying for you. This wasn't a random fan. This was a family member witnessing what she believed was the league's failure to keep her sister safe.
Hartley deserves zero benefit of the doubt. And Sophie Cunningham's family not too happy. I believe this is Mama C. Hartley is a disgruntled player having trouble everywhere she goes. She's playing mean and plays out of control. Looked out of control to me. Maybe you should focus her sister. Maybe you should focus less on finding players for commenting on your poor officiating and more about hiring officials that are capable to call a consistent game and protect your athletes. Pathetic. Praying for you. The only good thing positive surrounding Sophie Cunningham coming out of this game, she looked in good spirits.
The anger went even further. Sophie's mother, Paula, shared a since-deleted post that didn't mince words, calling Bria Hartley plain mean, and accused her of playing out of control. This personal, familial fury gave weight to the fans' suspicions. This was no longer just game commentary. It was a damning accusation from the people who knew the victim best. Conventional wisdom said the Fever were done. They were down 3-point guards, now down their starting wing and a primary scorer, and staring at a 21-point deficit against one of the best teams in the league. Everything pointed to a collapse, but this team had spent the entire season learning how to thrive in chaos. Instead of fracturing, they channeled their collective anger into a terrifyingly focused energy.
Your New England Ford dealers and the Ford Bronco family goat modes, the official SUVs of the Connecticut Sun. Mitchell connects.
Reading the defense. And reckless closeout, so you have to make sure you let the shooter land here. Landing space needs to happen. Looks like Mitchell also clutching her leg here as well.
Regular zone side review. If it is, it's going to be just make one. Okay, because it went in.
They became relentless. The first signs of life came from the most unexpected places. Odyssey Sims, signed on a hardship contract just days earlier to fill a roster spot, suddenly looked like a veteran leader, steadying the offense and dropping 19 critical points. Aaliyah Boston anchored the paint, muscling her way to a franchise record 15 double-double of the season with 14 points and 13 rebounds. They were chipping away, plugging every hole, fueled by a simple mantra, next woman up. They were setting the stage for a storm that was about to be unleashed. That storm was named Kelsey Mitchell.
An assassin, Kelsey Mitchell, has a new career high. Backdoor Mitchell, outsing in the paint for two. Kelsey Mitchell, the big is matched up. Mitchell squeezing through for two and the foul. Fouls on the other end. It's Mitchell launching it.
For the first 20 minutes of the game, she was a ghost, a non-factor silenced by Connecticut's defensive schemes, and perhaps the weight of the moment. With just 4 points at the half, the whisper started. Could she truly be the number one option with the season on the line? The answer that erupted from the locker room wasn't just a yes. It was a seismic event that defied all logic and explanation. Mitchell didn't just find her shot. She entered a zone few athletes ever experience. A state of pure, unconscious flow where the ball, the rim, and the moment became an extension of her own will. The game slowed down for her, while she accelerated to a speed Connecticut simply couldn't match. It began not with a roar, but with a relentless, quiet fury.
In a low stance defensively, matched up with Mitchell. Fires up a three. Kelsey Mitchell! Oh my! Mitchell comes back for it with 8. Sims, up fake, back out, Mitchell. Got Rivers in the air, Kelsey Mitchell again! You betcha! Wow!
She started attacking the seams of the defense, not with reckless abandon, but with a surgical precision that left the Sun scrambling. She was a blur of motion, everywhere at once. One possession. She was driving hard to the rim, absorbing contact from taller defenders, and finishing through it, drawing fouls that stopped the clock and chipped away at the lead. The next, she was pulling up from the parking lot, launching deep, contested three-pointers that ripped through the net with shocking silence, as if the outcome was never in doubt. There was no hesitation in her eyes, only a cold, calculating fire. Connecticut threw different defenders at her, quicker guards, longer forwards, but it was like trying to stop a hurricane with a sheet of paper.
Also, your second half, you did 34 of your points just now.
Damn!
The last after halftime, what took over you? How did you get it done on the floor?
I think it was more about what we did from a standpoint of like the mindset and the mentality. From half to half, it sucked for me. First half, it just wasn't, and I think that, it wasn't as well for our group, but the resiliency is true in our room. Seeing Soph go down and then knowing what happened with Sid and knowing what happened with Ari, and then knowing what happened with Cece, it's like, I think a lot of it was just God and being able to like stay prepared and stay in your mental state to be able to compete. But I really think that that's the most resilient that we've ever been because of everything we've been through. So I think a lot of it you just tap into your team and you just love on your team. And I think, great things can.
Each defensive adjustment was met with a new, more devastating counterpunch. This wasn't just about scoring. It was about the timing. Every single basket was a direct response to a Connecticut run, a bucket that snuffed out their momentum and poured gasoline on her team's growing belief. When the Sun would push the lead back to 15, Mitchell would answer with a 3. When they'd get a stop and look to run, she'd strip the ball or draw a charge, then come down and hit an impossible step-back jumper. She was single-handedly controlling the game's emotional rhythm, bending it to her will. The most insane part, her career-high 38 points, wasn't the total. It was the fact that 34 of them came after halftime, in the white-hot crucible of a must-win game where her team's playoff hopes were literally crumbling around her due to injury. She put the entire franchise on her back and carried it, shot by agonizing shot, back from a deficit that had been written off by everyone watching. The weight would have crumbled most players. For Mitchell, it only seemed to make her stronger. This performance, her 11th career 30-point game, wasn't just another line in the box score. It was a historic moment that officially broke the great Tamika Catchings' all-time franchise record, cementing Mitchell's own legacy as one of the most potent scorers the organization has ever seen. The validation came from the most unlikely of places. Even Caitlin Clark, the team's other superstar, watching from home while nursing her own injury, could only sit back in awe and respond on social media with 2 words that said everything: MVP Kels. This wasn't just a great game or a hot streak. It was a historic, era-defining takeover. It was an announcement, screamed the entire league, that the Indiana Fever were not a one-star team. They had a warrior, a leader, and a cold-blooded assassin whose heart beat loudest when the lights were brightest and the odds were longest. Basketball is a game of runs, and Connecticut fought back to force overtime. The momentum could have swung back. The Fever's thin roster could have finally hit a wall. But the resilience was already baked in. With under a minute left in OT and the Fever clinging to a slim lead, the ball swung to the corner. It found Lexie Hull, a player known for her defense and hustle, not her scoring. Without a moment's hesitation, she let it fly. The three-pointer ripped through the net, a dagger. It was the exclamation point on a night defined by unlikely heroes. From that moment on, it was a formality. Kelsey Mitchell iced the game at the free throw line, sealing a 99-93 overtime victory, the largest comeback in Indiana Fever history. In the locker room after the game, the emotion was so thick, you could almost touch it. It wasn't just the sweat and exhaustion of an overtime battle. It was a profound, collective release of months of built-up pressure, frustration, and pain. This was so much more than a single win in the column. It was a statement carved into stone for the entire WNBA to see. The air buzzed with a mix of euphoric cheers and quiet, tearful hugs. Players still in their uniforms, ice packs strapped to their knees and shoulders, embraced not just a victory, but for having survived it together. Coach Stephanie White waited for the initial wave of chaos to settle. When she finally gathered her battered and bruised team around her, you could see the pride shining in her eyes, a stark contrast to the sheer exhaustion on every player's face. She didn't need to yell. Her voice, thick with emotion that resonated with every person in the room, was quiet yet carried to every corner. What you did out there, she began, pause and let the weight of the accomplishment sink in. That is who we are. No matter what they throw at us, no matter who is in uniform and who is not, we will never be counted out. She looked at each of them, at Mitchell, still breathing heavily from her historic carry job, at Hull, whose game-winning shot had probably not fully sunk in, at Sims, the newcomer who had played like a seasoned veteran. That mentality, that heart, that is worth gold. And nobody can ever take that away from you. This one was a lifeline, pushing their record to 19-16. It did more than just keep them firmly in the playoff hunt. It fundamentally altered the narrative of their entire season. This wasn't a story about a promising rookie class anymore. It was a story about a team that had been tested in the hottest fires imaginable. A season that had tried to break them at every single turn. With a brutal early schedule, with key players lost to devastating ACL tears and broken bones before the campaign even hit its stride, with controversies and physical play that dominated headlines, had instead forged them into something tougher and more resilient than anyone could have predicted. The victory screamed a powerful truth. Their identity isn't tied to a single jersey number. It isn't dependent on one superstar's hot hand, though Mitchell's was certainly scorching. Their identity is a collective spirit, a deeply ingrained refusal to quit. It's a pact they've made with each other in closed-door meetings and grueling practices. It's the understanding that when one woman goes down, the next one stands up not to replace her, but to honor her by fighting even harder. They prove that even when the odds are ruthlessly stacked against them, even when the physicality of the game crosses a line, their resolve only hardens. They don't just face adversity, they absorb it, channel it, and use it as fuel to power through the impossible. The specter of the incident with Sophie Cunningham still hung in the air, a sobering counterpoint to the celebration. The wait for her MRI results felt like an eternity, a reminder of the very real and dangerous physical toll this game can exact. That single moment, and the league's non-response in the form of a missing foul call, raises serious and still unanswered questions about player protection. Fans, analysts, and even the players' families are left wondering aloud about consistency, about accountability, and about the line between competitive physicality and reckless endangerment. It's a conversation the league will be forced to have, a difficult but necessary examination of its own standards and the message it sends about the safety of its athletes. But for one night, inside those four walls, the Indiana Fever made a powerful choice. They didn't wait for a league memo. They didn't wait for an apology or a retroactive flagrant foul. They didn't wait for a rescue from anyone outside their own locker room. They looked at the mountain in front of them, a massive deficit, a hostile environment, a depleted roster, and a controversial no-call that would have demoralized most teams. And they decided to climb it anyway. They took all the anger, all the fear for their teammate, and all the outside noise, and they transformed it into a breathtaking display of skill, heart, and unparalleled toughness. They didn't ask for a hero to save them. They became a team of heroes, each one contributing to a whole that was far greater than the sum of its parts. In the most definitive way possible, they saved themselves. And in doing so, they authored one of the most unforgettable chapters in franchise history, a night that will be remembered not just for the final score, but for the immense heart it took to achieve it. This is the kind of grit, that defines legends. If you believe this team has what it takes to make a deep playoff run after everything they've been through, let us know in the comments with Fever and 4. Show some love for the incredible heart of this squad. And make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single moment of their incredible journey. The best is yet to come. If you support Sophie Cunningham and believe players deserve to be protected on the court, let us know in the comments and wish her a full and speedy recovery. This team fights every single night against all odds, and they deserve your support. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of the story. The season is only getting more intense from here. Click the video on screen to see another shocking WNBA story, and we will see you in the next one.